Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years.
So get ready! I mean, get ready! Are you ready for some football?
You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. A weekly podcast about sports since 2011. With a focus on football. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mays, and here with me, as always, is my co-host, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
My ADD and anxiety are through the roof right now, Justin, as a monitor's not working, audio was messed up. I think we're on track. I know, was it last show or two shows ago where they were like, hey, we can't hear you.
I think it might have been the last show.
It's just, it's been rough. And then getting things set up here this evening, even worse. And then decide to, title this one for those watching, enjoy baseball while you can. So we're about to have a great discussion about the future of one of our favorite sports that hasn't even gotten underway yet this season. At least the professional, North American Major League Baseball version. We've got a collection of talent, though, going around, mostly focused here in the United States. Most of the games are here, not all, but World Baseball Classic is back, Justin. We're going to take some time talking about that this evening. And, it should be a fun discussion. But I think first, Justin, I wanted to mention a few things that we didn't get to say last week, which was I wanted to congratulate the Wilson girls basketball team for winning not only the district championship after they had won the counties a few weeks back, but on Monday they won their first state playoff game. So they are still alive, and it's great. It's awesome that they're still playing meaningful basketball here in March. It's not something that every team gets to do, and I wanted to make sure we mentioned that because I forgot at the end of last show. And also, Justin, here, just yesterday, Wilson has another state wrestling champion.
Yeah, first one in a long time.
42 years, I think I saw. Or maybe long, 46 years.
I think it's 44 years.
44, okay.
I think it was 82.
I knew it was sometime in the 80s.
Yeah, but McCaden Speece, I think he finished the year like 50-1 or something. Something absurd like that.
It was insane.
But finishes his career as the all-time wins leader in Berks with 198 wins. I think I saw something too. So he won at 172, which was one of the. I mean, they're all insanely hard, but which was vaunted as one of the hardest weight classes in Pennsylvania this year.
And Pennsylvania is the toughest wrestling state in the country.
And it's also the wrestling center of the universe this weekend.
Right.
But anyway, outstanding showing. Won in sudden victory in the state championship.
Yep, got a takedown.
Yeah, which, just awesome. Congratulations. That's such a cool thing. So much hard work.
Now, am I correct? Did he lose in the championship or the semis last year? I know he made it very far last year.
I thought it was semis because I don't know for sure.
I couldn't remember, but I knew no matter what, he had reached the pinnacle. He made it to the top, and it was awesome.
And he's also one of those, and I saw a post talking about how, just a couple years ago, he was wrestling at a much lighter weight class. He has really grown up, as you tend to do in high school. But yeah, man, what an outstanding showing, and to win one of the hardest weight classes in the hardest state to win states in. Just congratulations. Committed to Navy.
I was going to say,
wrestling.
and where's he
Yes.
going, Justin?
Yes, he is going to Navy. So that, man, he's committing himself, to excellence in lots of fields. So, congratulations, McCaden, and that was awesome.
Yeah, and unfortunately, not all Navy and gold for Navy this weekend, as I saw they lost on a last-second heave in their conference tournament to miss out on the automatic qualifier, and now they probably won't make the tournament,
Right.
Getting upset on a last-second shot. I know the Navy men's basketball team was having a great season, but it's a tough to get an tough to get an at-large bid. You need that conference automatic qualifier, and they're going to come up just short.
Especially when you have Auburn's coach and dad talking about how they should get in, even though they're only one game over 500.
Right. Also, Navy related, had some Wilson football players receive offers from the United States Naval Academy. So congratulations to Wilson football rising seniors. Will be seniors this coming fall. Michael Glover and Justice Hardy. And I did actually see right before the show, just a few hours ago, again, another rising senior, David Wise, got an offer from UMass.
Oh, awesome.
So a couple Wilson Bulldogs getting attentions of colleges. Glover and Hardy are closing in. They're in the mid-teens, getting in close to 20 offers. So we've got a lot to talk about, but we'll save that for Bulldog Hour, which Justin and I have decided we're going to do next week.
Yes.
We were due a few weeks ago, didn't get to do it because the snowstorm is messing up schedules, but Justin and I are going to debut Season 12 of the Bulldog Hour next Sunday, March 15th. May have a guest. Haven't gotten that in writing or concrete notification of that yet. If not, Justin and I got a lot to cover because it is a new cycle. So we have updates to the schedule, both league and non-league, couple big-time non-league opponents.
Lots of shifts there.
We have to just do a little bit of housekeeping with the end of the 25 season with all-star lists and things like that. We have updates on those that are graduating this summer, moving on to play collegiate football or continuing their academic and athletic career elsewhere. We want to update you on that. So plenty to come from Wilson football, and Justin and I will do that next Sunday. Last thing, Justin, before we dive into the baseball, Penn State hosting the Big Ten wrestling tournament. Right now, the championships are going on. And, of course, Penn State is cleaning up. Yeah. They put 8 individuals into the championship round. And last I knew, were they 4-1 so far? 3-1, 4-1?
I'm trying to think.
Better than that. I'm trying to remember all the names because Mesenbrink won.
I think they're at 5-1
Duke
now.
won.
So Mesenbrink. So it's Lillidahl won. Blaze lost.
Marcus Blaze, yeah.
Van Ness won.
Van Ness, that's right. I was forgetting.
So Van Ness won. PJ Duke won. Messenbrink won, and Haynes won. So I think they're 5-1.
And Mirasala and Davis advanced to automatically qualify for the national tournament.
Nationals, and they have Josh Barr and
Rocco Welsh is wrestling right now in 184.
Rocco Welsh and Josh Barr.
So Levi Haynes got the decision over Minto from Nebraska, who were seated above him for some reason.
Originally, they
they change?
They won it on challenge. Yeah.
Okay. Never mind then. And I know who's the one. Antrell Taylor were able to take him down, the defending national champion.
PJ Duke looked really
good, really good. And who's the Iowa guy that is now 0-3 against Penn State? No, the one that it might not have been the championship guy. He threw the hat to the side and decided to wrestle for, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This was a previous match.
He lost in his quarterfinal match. Yeah. I forget, but I know who you mean. Gabe Arnold.
Yes.
Gabe Arnold, who was talking smack on Carter Sirachi when he was still in high school. like when Gabe Arnold was still in high school and Strachey was wrestling at Penn State on his way to 5 national championships.
Right.
There's since
Levi Haynes notification.
has failed to take the starting job at Iowa at 3 different weight classes. Now he I guess technically he got the starting job this year at one of them, but like
he didn't wrestle against Penn State though.
No, he hasn't. I don't know that he's wrestled against Penn State at all. Like well, and some of that is the brands are like some people have said the brands have mismanaged him, which is a legitimate question. I shouldn't say like that it's absolutely the case, but it's a legitimate like question because lots of criticism on the brands and the way they run Iowa wrestling right now, just in terms of have they been able to keep up? And it's hard to argue that they have right now. So it's not to say that they're still an outstanding wrestling program. But
do you think they're the second best team in the nation right now, though?
No, Ohio State's the
I was
second
going to
best
say
team
Ohio
in the nation
State.
is a lot.
Well, and what's
And
going on with Oklahoma
I
State
think
and Nebraska?
Oklahoma State and Nebraska, I think both would have arguments over Iowa. So I think Iowa is fringe top 5 program, and that's not going to cut it there.
No.
So I was looking it up today because I was talking to my dad. My goal for Cale Sanderson is to break the record for all-time national championships at Penn State. But like, I don't know how many they have right now. Do they have 10? What are they at? 10 and 12 years or something like that?
Penn State?
Yeah, I forget.
It's. I think pretty sure it's more than that.
Okay, so it's
not by much,
right?
but
It's an absurd number.
14.
All right, so how many does Cale have?
12.
Okay, so Cale has 12. The record is 15, I believe. Right, so Dan Gable has 15
by one
championships.
by one coach.
Yeah, sorry. So Dan Gable has 15 in his 21 years at Iowa. This was crazy, though. Dan Gable, in his 21 years at Iowa, won 21 Big Ten championships.
That's a lot.
Oklahoma State has the most team championships.
34.
Yes, they have the most team, but by one coach. I believe Dan Gable has the record at 15. I think.
Iowa has 24 team titles.
Right.
They snuck that one in 2021.
Yeah, that 2021 one is interesting because they won the team title, but Penn State had 4 individual champions, and I think they might have only had 1, if any.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of because Penn State got a lot of recognition for that, and Iowa won the team title, but it felt like they backed into it.
Right, yeah. In 2021, RBY, Nick Lee, Carter Starachi, and Aaron Brooks all won. And Spencer Lee is the only one that won a title for Iowa because Nick Lee beat Ironman and Starachi beat Kemmerer, and that was it. DeSanto, who we are familiar with, and Cassiope finished third for Iowa. So they won the war but lost the battle, I guess you look at that.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing for that was Penn State wasn't expected to perform as well as they did.
No, Penn State overperformed at that one.
Finishing in second to Iowa had finished with 129 team points and Penn State had 113 and a half. But that was a springboard for what Penn State has now done for 4 straight and hopefully 5 straight national championship runs. Of which,
by the way, of Penn State's starting 10, only 1 is out of eligibility.
Right. Well, and
he just became the 15th all-time 4-time Big Ten champ.
Right.
And the 4th ever at Penn State.
And since that season, 2021, Penn State has increased their team points every single national
setting
championship.
records each of the last 2 years.
Right. And we got to see that last year.
That was awesome.
We were at, if you are new to the show or didn't watch our wrestling show, Justin and I went to the national championships in Philadelphia last year. Didn't technically see Penn State win the team title because they'd already wrapped it up before we got there. But
we saw them collect the hardware.
We
for
did.
The team.
We were there for them to get the trophy and the shirts and everything. But we got to see them win, and we did get to see 2 Penn Staters, 2 Penn Staters won national championships individually.
Right.
It was Mesenbrink and Starachi.
Right.
Barr lost.
Yes.
And Lillidahl, Bartlett, Van Ness, Kasich and Levi Haynes all got third place.
Right.
So a lot of Penn State
We
flavor.
also saw one of the biggest upsets.
We did.
with, Wyatt
That
Hendrickson.
Wyatt Hendrickson
Yes.
beating Cable Stevenson. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was absolutely massive. And we got to see Starachi wrestler Keckeisen, which was
Yeah.
awesome
Yes.
because Parker was a phenomenal wrestler for UNI.
Right.
Yeah, we saw a lot of great matches. So I'm
Antrell Teller won last year.
right against Joey Blaze
Right.
from Purdue, and yeah, so ready for that. What's that in 2 weeks then? Probably just
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Same weekend as the women's Frozen Four at Penn
Yes.
State. So the women's ice hockey team for Penn State is the number 3 overall seed in the women's Frozen Four, and that finalist, is, if they make it to the semifinals or the championship, will be hosted at Pagula. So awesome stuff for Penn State women's ice hockey, and the men are unfortunately scraping and clawing their way to hopefully make the national championship, the men's Frozen Four. They're in for a rough go. They just got swept by Minnesota. They finished their last 10 games 2-6-2, and they're going to need to work some magic
Right.
to make.
They'd kind of hit their stride in like January into February. They were playing really well, and then kind of hit the skids here a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But let's now go to our main topic, which is baseball in general. We'll first start with just a little bit of talk about the World Baseball Classic. Justin, it's an interesting topic because, well, one, it is essentially baseball's World Cup. It's the Baseball World Championship. It was come to agreement a few years ago that this would be it. They wouldn't hold something else. I don't know if it's International Baseball, Softball, whatever the governing body has agreed that for baseball, the World Baseball Classic is it. Like outside of competing in Olympics, this is how you determine who's the best literally in the world. Not, MLB World Series. This is for your nation, representing your country. It last was staged in 2023. Japan won that one. And the U.S., though, taking it much more seriously. A lot of guys more interested in playing this time around. Almost a year ago, Aaron Judge was named the first player and team captain, and he immediately started recruiting guys to play, and it seemed like they didn't have guys turning them down.
Right.
As a lot of the big guns are out and about, including 3 Phillies, but 2 big-name Phillies in Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. And Schwarber, for certain, has made his mark, a homer in each of their first 2 games.
Smoking.
Big blowout wins in both of them. They struggled a little bit early yesterday against Great Britain. Then they hit their stride in the middle innings, ended up winning, I believe, 9-1.
Yes.
And it was Kyle Schwarber who gave them their first lead that they
Yes.
would no longer relinquish. But Schwarber homered in their first game as well.
Monster shots.
Big home runs from Schwarber. So excited to see them playing for the red and white, the red pinstripes in Philadelphia soon. And we will have in 2 weeks, we will do our baseball preview, MLB preview. But what's your excitement level for the World Baseball Classic?
It's tough. Like, I want the U.S. team to win, and as it goes on and you get into the elimination rounds, my interest level will ramp up a little bit. I don't know. It's okay. Like, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at a 4, and then increases. Like as the rounds increase, I'd ramp it up, but it gets there. But like, honestly, if we get to like a championship game, it still won't be what it was for like Olympic hockey. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be like a 10, and I don't know why that is. Like, I think maybe because it's just so new. And I want to say there are so few countries, because there aren't. There's a bunch of countries. There's a lot of countries, but like, I don't know. Like, it just, maybe because it's newer, it seems more gimmicky to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
Well, I think
like,
it
okay.
helps this year.
And like, I understand the logistics of it, but the fact that like we host it all the time, it's like, oh, okay. Like, I just.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I understand you're not going to have all the major leaguers leave right in the middle of their spring training to travel. Like, I get that. But like, I don't know. It's just. Like I said, it's okay. It's not like I dislike it. It's just like, okay.
I am interested.
It's above spring training, but I'm not as excited about it as I am like opening day and like regular baseball season.
I am interested to see if or what's going to happen with the Summer Olympics. It's next in LA. It's at, that's in 2028. So we're about a little over 2 years away from that. But it happens during baseball season. It would be nice to see, I would love for baseball to take a break and allow these guys to play Olympic baseball. I mean, Bryce Harper came out and said it recently. He said, he loves being there, loves being with the guy, loves representing his country. Well, it's not as good as being at the Olympics.
They may get a hard reset and a chance to address schedule things. We'll get to that in a few minutes.
Yeah. So, and baseball has had baseball and softball has had a dicey time with the Olympics because they were trying to remove it and did remove it from the Olympic Games. And one of the reasons was because they felt that some countries were getting too dominant and there wasn't enough parity or interest. That was said mostly about American softball. The women had been dominant, and they believe the last time they had played it before they got rid of it, the women lost, I believe.
Right.
I think it was in the gold medal game. Yes. But, and baseball. So baseball only has been played.
Did they lose to Canada? I feel like Canada is very good at softball.
Was it Canada? I was thinking it was Japan, but I could be just confusing myself with women's soccer and the World Baseball Classic here.
Yeah.
But baseball's only been played in one Olympics since 2008. 2020 it was featured. They did not play in London. They did not play in Rio. They did not play. Where were the Olympics last time? 2024.
2024, weren't they in France?
Were they in France? Now I just completely.
I thought it was Paris. Yeah, it was Paris.
Okay,
it was
Paris. Right. The 2020, so technically 2021, Japan. There was baseball in Japan, and the United States got silver behind Japan. But because of when it's played in the Summer Olympics are in the middle of MLB season, you don't get the best of the best. So that is kind of why I am interested in World Baseball Classic, because you are getting the best of the best. And the 2026 version of the World Baseball Classic is probably the best rosters we've ever seen for the big time countries.
That's true.
So it's being hosted in Japan, Puerto Rico, and obviously the United States. The U.S. has it in Houston and Miami, Tokyo in Japan, San Juan in Puerto Rico. But it's a pretty cool event. I'm actually very, very interested in it. Justin, Kelly and I watched both of the American games that have been played so far back-to-back on Friday and Saturday night. The Americans play tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Paul Skeens will get the ball. Tariq Skubal had it yesterday, but on a pitch count.
We've lost a couple in a row to Mexico, haven't we?
Yes, yeah, that was the next big thing, that the United States is in a pool. They're in Pool B with Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. The United States has already beaten Brazil and Great Britain, and they will play Mexico tomorrow, and then I think Italy on Tuesday. I mentioned Schwarber and Harper are on Team USA. So is the new relief pitcher. Is it Keller?
I think it is.
Keller. Yeah. And then Italy has Aaron Nola.
Oh, yeah.
And I know previously, I think Stubbs played for Great Britain. I don't think he's on the team though this year. I think Stubbs is trying to make the Phillies team as a third catcher and a utility player. So I don't think Stubbs is playing for Great Britain. There are a handful of Phillies on the variety of the teams. But so Pool B plays in Houston. The United States is the host, and they will play Mexico tomorrow night at 8:00. And like Justin said, they've lost to them the last few times. But more often than not, the World Baseball Classic has gone the way of the Japanese. They have won 3 times overall. It's the most. It's been played. Well, I believe the first one was 2006. And were they on a 4-year? No, they did do. Okay, so first it was a 3-year rotation. They played in 2009. Then they went to a 4-year. They didn't play until 2013 and 2017. And then obviously COVID messed things up. And with the Olympics getting delayed, they completely scrapped it until 2023. So 6 years in between. Now here we are in 2026. The good thing for them, by and large, they saw attendance jump every time they hosted it. And my guess is this year is going to be even better because of the names you have playing it.
Yes.
There are some big time player on pretty much every team. Japan and the United States are the only squads to make it all 6 tournaments. But the United States has won it in 2017 over Puerto Rico, but they most recently lost to Japan 3-2 in 2023 in Miami, and that was the year that Trey Turner had just signed with the Phillies and was going off
Yes.
in the World Baseball Classic, and then struggled mightily in the first, more than the first half of the season.
Two-thirds of the season.
By and
then
large,
there's a Netflix documentary
about what happened. Yeah. But the U.S. has made the final the last 2 times it's been played. They have, but Japan won the first 2 and the most recent one. So the Japanese are up on top. I believe they're probably the favorites to win this year as well, Japan. But United States have probably the best team they've ever had. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I should pull up the standings where we're at right now. But so it's not a big pull for you, even as a baseball guy.
It's not, right. And we've talked about that a lot. Like, baseball is my go-to thing. And you know what? It might be in part because, like you said, there have been years where it hasn't been like the biggest names from, and so it's as it's grown, like, it's definitely something I'm interested in. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. And like I said, once you get to the elimination games, then I think, like, my interest ramps up. Seeing the stuff from last time when they were playing games in Miami and, like, the crowds, and, like, that was cool. That was really cool. So, like, it has potential, but it's just like, you know what, maybe I'll get into it. I don't know. Maybe I've been just spurned by my hopes for, like, baseball the last few years, and I'm just kind of like, we'll see. Like, I just not ready to. I'm ready to have my heart broken for baseball in September and October, not in March. I don't know.
So, in addition to the United States and Japan, the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, who are on a crash course in Pool D in Miami, they both are very talented teams that could make some noise. Puerto Rico leads Pool A, but will have to fight with Cuba in San Juan to win their pool and make the quarterfinals. Japan is 3-0, but they've been struggling. They've been close games. Their opponents have played them very tough, so we'll see what happens as things move on. But I know it's been interesting. Right? It's the first time, honestly, I can remember actually watching the games, or at least the entirety of a game. I might turn it on, but I didn't have a ton of interest in 2023. And maybe it's just coming off a high of Team USA doing so well in the Winter Olympics and my 2 favorite teams in the Winter Olympics winning gold, one of which hadn't been done in 4 decades. So it was very exciting to root for the country and the athletes representing the country for 2+ weeks in mid-February, and then to have spring training come back and baseball be back, and then get to root for Schwarber and Harper on Team USA. And like I messaged you when Aaron Judge hit his home run, it's great to be able to root for some of these guys.
That is very true.
Look, and it's not that I don't hate Aaron Judge.
No.
I'm not a Red Sox fan, so like Aaron Judge just is. Like I enjoy watching him, but like I'm not actively rooting for him when he's playing for the Yankees. But him on Team USA, sign me up.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. And that is cool. And I'd say I'm kind of like where you said you were last time. Like, if it's on, like, I'll turn on. Like, the other day I turned on the game and I was watching some of it, but it's not like something where I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this the whole way through.
Sure. So
at least at this point.
The United States beat Brazil by 10, 15-5. They beat Great Britain by 8, 9-1. Japan smoked Chinese Taipei to start 13-0, but their last 2 games, they came back and beat Korea 8-6. And then I believe it was today they beat Australia 4-3. So Japan is absolutely loaded, but has had to scrape by the last 2 games that they've played. Now, games on the schedule, there's a few more games today, but games on the schedule tomorrow include Colombia and Panama, Brazil, Great Britain, Dominican Republic against Israel. Oh, maybe Stubbs played for Israel. I said Great Britain. He might have been on the Israeli
I know Harrison
team.
Bader plays for Israel.
Okay. Cuba, Puerto Rico, and then tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox, Mexico, United States. And then the U.S. will finish their pool play on March 10th, Tuesday, 9 p.m. on FS1. And then see what happens in the quarterfinals, what will go on there. does not look like they have that information here yet on the standings and what's going on. So I do want to look at Team USA's full roster. Any other names that jump out? Brad Keller. Is that what you said? Yeah. Brad Keller is the other. He's the recent signee to the Phillies in the offseason. But Cal Raleigh is the main starter with Will Smith. I know he played yesterday. Alex Bregman, Bobby Witt Jr., obviously Harper, Roman Anthony, Byron Buxton, PCA is on the team. DeRosa is the manager, and you got a bunch of familiar names on the coaching list. Justin, Sean Casey, David Ross, Matt Holliday,
a bunch
Michael
of guys who
Young,
I remember them playing.
Right, Freddie Gonzalez, Andy Pettit, Brian McCann, like a bunch. Think about those names, but pretty interesting a group for Team USA. Kind of a nice mix of older veteran players and some young guns like Gunnar Henderson, Bryce Terang, Ernie Clement. I mentioned Bobby Witt Jr., but then you have the Paul Goldschmidts and the Bryce Harpers, and Bregman's now in his 30s. But Roman Anthony's a young guy. But Aaron Judge has been around for a while. Schwarber's been around. He's got the World Series ring, but he would like a championship for representing his country. And because these guys are unlikely to have that opportunity in the Olympics, this is kind of their thing. Yeah. So I hope they can do it. That'd be great. It would be a fun way to piggyback the men's and women's Olympic ice hockey golds with a World Baseball Classic victory. Not to end on a bummer, Justin, but baseball is only coming back right now. The first games start. Are there any international games that kick off Major League Baseball season this year?
I don't know because of
the WBC. I'm wondering if there are.
Right, yeah.
Because there are a lot of times like almost a week before all the other teams start. Two teams will play 3 games in Japan or somewhere else. Where have they played I'm trying to think of the other places they played in the past. They've hit a lot of international circuits to start things off, but because of the WBC, I'm going to guess that maybe that's not happening this year. But the Phillies will kick things off on Thursday, March 26th, and then they don't play Friday the 27th. But then they'll finish their series Saturday and Sunday, and they play the Texas Rangers. Yeah. And I just saw, or I was notified that Andrew McCutchen has signed with the Texas Rangers. My in-laws were sad to see him leave Pittsburgh once again. Yeah. He's one of their all-time favorite Pirates, and honestly, I loved when he was in Philadelphia. Hate the way things ended for him in Philadelphia, and it was kind of before this bump back to relevancy that the Phillies had. But Phillies Rangers to kick off the season March 26th. That is at home, I believe, in Philadelphia. Those first 3 games, and obviously, look, the Phillies have been trending downwards or not getting better since that magical run in 2022. 2023, they faltered near the end of the NLCS. Then 2024, they faltered in the divisional series. And then last year, faltered in the divisional series. Couldn't get out of their own way. Couldn't basically make contact. They were getting great pitching, by and large, in all those losses, save for maybe some moments in the NLCS in 2023. But the last 2 years, the hitting has been awful.
Right.
We're not going to dive into a full Phillies preview right now because we're going to do that in 2 weeks. But unfortunately for people like us, especially you, Justin, and really for my wife, Kelly, baseball is, her favorite thing, her favorite sports thing for sure. And it's a way for us to be happy once the doldrums of January and February are gone. Valentine's Day, where pitchers and catchers usually are reporting, and we're starting to hear about a full squad game a week after that. Things are looking up. The weather's going to get better. We can be back outside. We can turn on baseball for 162 games.
Yep.
Unfortunately, as this happens in professional sports infrequently, but enough to make it annoying, there is a pending labor issue coming up in Major League Baseball. And we've been hearing about it for a few years, that 2027 there was going to be a showdown. And I honestly, I think we'll know more about it at the end of 2026. I don't know where the deadlines are, and honestly, I don't know that the MLB or MLBPA know when deadlines would have to be met to not have issues with the start of spring training next year. There's a lot that has to go on for that. I wouldn't expect any positive developments probably until close to Valentine's Day, because these things tend to play out close to the drop dead date.
Yeah.
It's happened. We've seen it happen before with so many leagues. I think, honestly, isn't the WNBA going through that right now?
They are. Yep.
They're trying to figure things out. It sounded like they were maybe moving in a positive direction.
Right. I feel like that WNBA right now is kind of like a couple steps forward, a step back, but like, which is better than how these things tend to go sometimes, where it's a couple steps back and then steps forward. So yeah, but yeah, it's been talked about for a few years now, and it's coming up. But like you said, there's not really a likelihood that it's solved in the near future, because it'll be a showdown, and they're going to see who caves first on lots of different things.
Yeah,
and
and maybe you know more about this than I do. Actually, I probably know you know more about this than I do. The only thing I know for certain that is the main battleground is salary cap. And Major League Baseball and the teams want a salary cap implemented to curtail the spending by the big market teams. Right. Essentially, your Yankees, your Red Sox, your Dodgers are the main one. Phillies are in there. Mets, you probably could throw the Cubs in there. I would think they would be closer to the top than the bottom, depending on the year. But the smaller clubs want to stop them from spending to supposedly promote more parity, not let things run away. And obviously the players are against that, because if you cap salaries, that means you're not making as much earnings as you can, or there's not as many teams that are willing to spend the big bucks.
Right.
I do think there's a possibility of that introducing a salary floor, possibly, which many of the teams may also fight. But I feel like that is, if you want to cap the maximum a team can spend, you probably should say each team needs to spend at least this amount,
right,
to make it more fair. That could help some players, because more teams would have to spend more money. I don't know if it would help the top 1% of earners, like an unlimited. I know there's the luxury tax right now,
right,
and at least 3 to 5 teams hit that, or have over the last few seasons.
All the time. Right.
Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Phillies have the last few years for sure. But I honestly don't know, Justin, what else is causing such disagreement and consternation, and are they fighting about anything else, or is that pretty much the main reason that we're headed towards a lockout?
Couple just quick off-topic update. Rocco Welsh won in tiebreaker.
Yes,
which we talked about before.
Wow.
But he won in tiebreaker, and my dad said emphasized the close. So he won, and then Josh Barr won by tech fall.
Oh, okay.
So they went
we'll
7-1 and 8. Okay.
Seven Big Ten
just
champions.
unbelievable.
So do you think they won the Big Ten title?
I think they would be close if you only counted their points from the finals. And they're sending 10 guys in 10 weight classes to the national title, or to the national championships. Which is absurd.
Honestly, how many 1 seeds are you going to get? 4 or 5 more?
I would set the over/under at 5.5.
5.5. Whew. I'm going to take the under.
I think that's the safe bet. My bias coming through there. I feel like you could argue a bunch, but there'll be a few. And honestly, it can work out. It all depends on who you're going to get in those quarterfinal matchups and everything.
I would rather them feel disrespected.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Give us all the 2s. Okay, so sorry. Back to baseball, though. Yes, the salary cap is the number one issue. And I almost texted you this today. I was like, oh, man. And this is a rarity for the show, but is there going to be something like we disagree on the show? I don't mean that as in oh, I know what you thought, but I was like, oh, this is as good of a chance as many of the topics for us to maybe, I don't want to say completely disagree, but just have different takes on what's happening. But I honestly don't know my thoughts, but that is the number one issue, the salary cap. So I did some research. I started looking up. I'm like, all right, let me try and find reasons against the salary cap. So I looked and I saw some, and then I'm like, all right, well, let me try and find some reasons for the salary cap, and I found some, and really they kind of go hand in hand against each other. But the problem is there's a lot on both times I was trying to make lists. There's a lot of, well, it's speculated that this will allow for this to happen. So no one really knows. And the biggest thing that I see right now as the argument for is to promote parity. And I would wholeheartely agree that parity across a league, and actually this is interesting because we've talked about this a few times, parity across the league as a general rule is a positive thing. You want as many teams and as many fan bases caring about as many games as possible, right? Like that's the key, because that's how you're going to make money. So I'm like, all right, well, let me look into this. So I basically looked like since 2000, I didn't
26
right.
seasons.
Basically, baseball, football, and NBA have all had between 14 and 17 different champions. Like, so like two, and I picked those three specifically because, to be honest, hockey's weird with some of their like CBA stuff, and I know they've had some of the worst of the stoppages, and like and it's also the one I follow the least closely,
Sure.
so I didn't feel as comfortable talking about that one. But I'm like, the NBA does a little bit more strict of what baseball does right now, which is essentially, and baseball essentially has a soft salary cap with a luxury tax. That's what it's sometimes referred to as, because here's the salary cap, but you can go over if you pay more.
Right.
Like that's what basketball has. I think the penalty is a little stiffer in basketball. It's not as extreme because you have 12 guys on your active roster, not 20 some guys. So like,
Sure.
It's a little different from that
Well,
aspect.
and so sorry, not to
No,
interrupt
you're
or
fine.
derail you, but is the salary just the active 26 guys, or is it the whole 40 man?
I think it might be the whole 40-minute, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And baseball is really weird with like who comes up and who like goes out. Like NBA's weird because of it's like all guaranteed all the time.
When they can sign guys to like 10-day contracts.
Right,
and,
right. And the up and down,
Yeah.
the two-way contract, there's all kinds of stuff. For that and for baseball too. Baseball's weird. Whereas NFL is a hard cap. Like here's the cap.
Yeah.
You have to be under by X date, and you either cut players
And that
or
cap
you do.
is rising exponentially every year.
It is, which is also a sign that like you can still get growth. Now, my pause to that is football's kind of the anomaly though. Like we say, like football's king as the sport. Now, some of that might be because of the way they've modeled things. I think it's also has at least a decent part to do with the nature of the sport, and there's a limited product, and there's all these things. But yes, the salary cap, I know I'm kind of flying all over the place. The salary cap is a huge deal. And I think the biggest deal. I think there could be some talk about like length of the season and things like that coming into play. I don't really know how I feel about that. Like the fact that you could make the season 15 games shorter.
So-
and I wouldn't like if you didn't tell me, I don't know that I would notice. That might be unfair. I might notice. But let's say, I don't know. Let's say you're guaranteed to never play more than like 10 games in a row or something. Like I don't know. But like I don't know how that's going to go. But yes, the salary cap is the number one issue.
Look, I have gotten back on board with, like, I was a huge baseball fan when I was younger in the 90s. Fell off. There was a little bit, like, I was pretty mad in 94 with the strike and
Right.
missing, like, not having the
and,
World Series.
And we were old enough to understand, and the Phillies made the World Series in 93.
Right.
Like
We were coming off
we're
a
at the
high.
pinnacle of like, oh, and Ken Griffey's hitting home runs. Like,
That's the thing,
star
yeah.
player hits 40 home runs by June.
and then
Oh,
you
and then you
cancel
don't
the
get to see
season.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, that was frustrating. And then the Phillies weren't really good the rest of the
they were
90s.
god awful.
So my interest really did wane. And then when the Phillies hired Larry Boa in the early 2000s, and then things really got interesting while we were in college or finishing up college, and then things broke through with the 07 division championship finally in first in 14 years, and then 2008 winning the World Series, obviously. And then they were good through 2011. But man, there were some lean years from 2012 through 2018 at a minimum.
Yeah.
And then Bryce Harper signed in 2019 and, made it interesting, brought things back. But for most of my life, I've been a baseball fan, for sure. Mostly a Phillies fan, though. I can't say that I enjoy baseball if it's not the Phillies or Team USA. I like if
No, that's fair.
in college though, Red Sox Yankees.
Oh,
like
dude,
that was huge.
those things of like the early 2000s, Red Sox, Yankees, including that
because
first,
the Phillies weren't good yet.
right? No, and those first, the year before when
03.
they have them, and Aaron Boone,
03, yep.
like
2003.
and then you get the comeback down 3-0, like
04.
That was insane.
Yep.
That was so cool, and like we joke about this and the things, but like when Baseball Tonight was on every
Yes.
night for like an hour, and you had like
Reynolds.
the web gems, and
Yeah.
you had
yeah.
all that stuff. That was peak.
It's almost like the
And-
2000s were the peak of everything related to sports across the board. Yeah. But I just... now I'm trying to remember where I was going with this point
Sorry.
of... but anyways, we can...
Right, like you loved baseball in the early 2000s, and like you were following and you were watching and all that stuff. But
Yeah. But the baseball did a good job. So they were trending down. There was a downward trend. They were losing grasp. Honestly, I think NBA was soaring past them.
yeah,
NFL was king and has been king for a long time now.
right.
But I feel like the NBA in the late 2000s through the early to mid 2010s really took hold, kind of with the peak of LeBron James.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
The James fever when the haters that he wasn't winning a title, and then the people that liked him when he was winning titles, and then jumping around. But I think kind of that
But
end.
either way, people were watching.
Well, like the
in
end of
boatloads.
the Shaq, Kobe, Lakers stuff, and some of the stuff with Kevin Garnett and the Celtics, and like that era, like late 2000s, early 2010s, and then the peak LeBron stuff going on in the early to mid 2010s. Baseball just was having trouble. They had an identity crisis because they were kind of stuck in the past of these. I feel like baseball is one of the most gate-kept sports.
It is.
It's tough to introduce people just because there's no real explanation or modern explanation for the way things were done. And I know you're not a big fan of the current head of Major League Baseball.
I've got my criticisms. He's done some things that have worked out very well for baseball, though. Like I have to give him credit.
But I feel like the stuff he does, it's either love, hate.
Yeah.
Whereas Bud Selig, I feel like did a lot of nothing. Like he kind of let it stagnate.
including, and this is one of my biggest things right now with baseball, not just ongoing things, is he knew about all the steroid stuff. It saved his butt,
Right.
and he did not care. And then he turns heel and is like, "Oh, shame on you! You guys all did all this." They knew, and they did not
They
care
embraced
because
it.
they were right because it saved their sport.
Well, right.
it saved their
Well, because
sport.
they had a hand in ruining it in '94, the strike
You
season,
owned the Brewers, the Brewers.
and then they needed renaissance in 95, 96, 97, and all of a sudden along comes Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Love him or hate him, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa saved baseball. They saved baseball.
From it becoming irrelevant.
Right.
And but they didn't really, so they brought it back. It was relevant again, but it never, I feel like it never reached a peak. Things got better in the 2010s, and there is an interesting correlation about the popularity of baseball and the success of the Phillies. I know that's not causation, but it's an interesting correlation because baseball was again peaking in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and then just fell off
Right.
when the Phillies got bad. Again, not saying that the Phillies dictate when baseball is popular, but there is a correlation there. And baseball, I feel like, really went down like 2015. Like, was it like when the Kansas City Royals won the World Series?
Right.
There was just some, and then you had the Astros and the cheating scandal come up.
Including this current commissioner downplaying it and saying no one cares it's a hunk of metal.
Well, yeah, no,
Like,
that's
you can't say that.
no.
Like, and no one in that position should be of the mind. Like, I get people say things when they're asked questions that aren't great answers. Like, that happens. But then you can say, like, I misspoke or I misrepresented what I wanted to say. Like, he's had chances and he like doubles down.
He has
like,
passed. Yeah, he is.
Like, and no one on that team was punished because they didn't have the guts to do it. The only people that were punished was the coach, who's now still back in baseball,
I was gonna say,
and other guys who are now making it into the Hall of Fame for actual cheating, like actual cheating. Carlos Beltran, I loved him when he was with the Royals. I can't stand him when he was with the Astros. He's a cheater. He's a cheater.
Well, so I don't. So the downfall of the Phillies in the early 2010s kind of coincided with the elevation of the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Giants carry enough panache to carry
No.
baseball fans. So them winning 3 times in 5 years.
And they also, that's ironic that you say that, because another major rule about like collisions at the plate and stuff like that, which I understand, is made solely based on the Giants. Buster Posey broke his leg. They changed the rule.
Right. Which I don't like.
I don't like either.
I
get being like, hey, you can't smoke a guy for like absolutely no reason or things like that. Like, but like what that has become to avoid collisions is an absolute joke.
Right.
What that has become is a joke.
Yeah, and it's at every base too. Like, you can't block the bag.
Right.
Can't block the bag.
Right.
Like, there was one dumb call on
for
Alex
the things,
Bohm last
for the
year.
things I don't like about like umpires. 1, they get it right a lot, and 2, you put them in an impossible position when you make these if this then this rules, which is what baseball is becoming. It's all if that this then this, not hey, this is a penalty. This is a penalty. No, like this is a foul. This is a foul. No. In baseball, it's, if this happens, then this. And if this happens, then this. But if this happens, then you're allowed to do this. Like, you're making it impossible for them.
So the biggest thing, though, we've seen a renaissance of baseball.
Yeah.
It probably reached its worst probably during COVID, and obviously that had a lot to do with it. There was maybe a little bit brought back in 2021, but it really was 2023 with the changes and that have happened now, I think, every season since as well, little tweaks here and there. But the pitch clock,
Yep.
the expanded bases, and the change to ruling of where players could line up to avoid drastic shifts, to introduce offense basically back into baseball, because it wasn't as bad as the dead ball era, but dominant pitching is maybe fun every so often, but people want to see home runs.
And the problem is dominant pitching now means I'm going to send a guy out there for 3 years and he's going to throw 105
and then
his arm's going to fall off,
yeah.
and he's never going to be the same, because teams don't care.
Yeah.
Teams don't care if the guy's arm falls off after 3 years.
So that's where we're at. And honestly, look, I was a Phillies fan, but even at times in the late 2000s, early 2020s, I was like, how is this game not over yet?
Right.
Because the average baseball game now lasts 2 hours and 36 minutes, which feels appropriate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sports only last that long.
Right.
So when they made those changes, it was a godsend. And I know baseball purists and those who like to gatekeep things don't like it. And I know a lot of the players initially really didn't like it. But guess what? It's done wonders for your sport.
Yeah, it has. Absolutely.
So kudos to MLB for making those changes. I think everyone's adapted to it. I think we're okay there. I don't know where I stand on a salary cap. I understand that. I don't know that the conclusions. One, I don't know that they're there for the betterment of the sport or the league. I don't want to see these owners just making more money just to make more money.
And that's what's happened in the NFL and in basketball when they instituted the salary caps. The revenue has gone up. NFL revenue has gone up, which means player revenue has gone up. But like the share has grown faster for the owners than it has for the players, and that they own it. Like I understand, like they own it, but that's one of the issues I have with the idea of the salary cap. I know I cut you off. I'm sorry, but like is that the second thing I've heard, and it relates to the salary cap, is the reason owners primarily want the salary cap has nothing to do with competitive balance. They say that because that's the one that hits. But like one of the like behind the scenes article I was reading says the number one reason it does is because it gives a more firm valuation of the value of the team. And the owners care more about that than they do winning, which I believe some owners, that's true. So,
Right.
Because you can look at how they spend their money and how they prioritize it, which is their money. They can do what they want. But when you have owners like the Angels owner come out and say winning is not a priority, like fan experience is the priority, like not like, well, okay, so then you don't get to then in the same sentence be like, well, in the name of parity in the sport, no. Like Shohei left to go to the Dodgers, one for money, but also because you're a trash organization. Like you're a garbage organization. You have the same TV market. You have the same like local area. You have the same, like you have all of the resources, potential resources. And Artie Moreno is probably wealthier than, well, maybe not now, but like the Angels, the Dodgers ownership group is like ranked like between 10 and 13 in terms of like net worth. Like now, I think a huge issue is that so much, and it's just the nature of the game because you have 162 games. The major amount of money doesn't come from the national broadcast rights. It comes from the local TV rights.
Right.
And so you're just naturally, guess what? The big markets have a greater valuation of their media rights than the small market teams.
Well, and it's also difficult because each team plays 162 games.
Right.
And across every day of the week, whereas I know the NFL has grown in terms of the days of the week that they
Right.
cover. It's not just Sundays anymore, but it's only 17 games over 32
and essentially
teams.
everything is nationalized
Yeah.
there. Like
Yeah.
right. And that's where
It-
it's not the same.
And it's not the same. You cannot compare baseball. You cannot compare anything to the NFL. It is
No.
in a league of its own.
right.
So, the worst thing for baseball is the Los Angeles Dodgers right now, and I don't necessarily mean the way they're spending the money. It honestly seems a little egregious and
It does.
ridiculous
It
to
does.
me with deferments and things like that.
Right. That's where that's my biggest beef is payment deferments.
Right. Like make them do that all now.
Right.
Like
Make
why
it-
you should be able to
make
push it 30 years down the road.
And maybe they do. I do not know this, but in the NFL, we've talked about this before. When a player, the guaranteed money they get, the owner must put that in, what's it called? Escrow. They have to put that money in escrow. They have to
Right.
write a check for that escrow
Yep, it has
when
to
they
sit
sign that
there.
contract.
Yep.
So like when Jimmy Haslam signed, what's his name, to
Deshaun
$240
Watson.
million,
Yep.
he had to put $240 million in escrow.
To make
Like,
sure you could cover
I
the
don't
contract.
know that that's the case in baseball.
I would think probably not.
And so like part of me is like make them do that at least, or make it be like no deferments of the things. I don't know.
I think like it's good for baseball when the Dodgers are good because they're a big market.
Right.
But in the NFL, we love rivalries and we love to hate a team. Like it had been the Patriots for a long time. Then it was the Chiefs. In baseball, I think if you hate a team, you don't watch. Like I don't know too many people are
that's fair.
hate watching. So like when the Dodgers inevitably make the World Series again this year and probably win a third straight World Series, and then you're going into, we're not having baseball next year. Talk about cratering any goodwill you earn. So my point is, and shocking if anyone knows me or has listened to this show, you need to meet in the middle on this. The way things are going is not sustainable for the game, but also going about things, we're introducing a salary cap to help billionaire owners is also not going to get you what you want.
Right.
I'm not completely against the salary cap in baseball, but I do not want a hard salary cap if there's no hard salary floor.
Right.
I am not interested in
Right.
that, where you can say there's a team out there that can spend $60 million on a roster and then the other one can only, is only allowed to spend 180 when
and
they want to spend 400.
You
Like the Mets.
You get some of these small market owners who complain that they're like broke.
They're
And
getting the luxury tax
they're
money.
among the wealthiest. So like Bob Nutting, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, hello.
The Angeloses in Baltimore before they sold the team famously told the reporter for the Baltimore Sun, yes, I'll open the books for you. And then what did he do instead? He sold the team before he could ever open up the books because he's saying I'm losing money. And that's one of those things where I'm like, a couple things. One, if again, I'm not doing this, and I'm not saying they don't have a right to adjust things to make things more beneficial as a business. Like that's how it works. But like, don't come at me if you run a terrible business and you're still making billions of dollars. I don't feel bad for you. Like, do better. You know, like I look at it, and this is the, just another thing. Like, and again, this is the bias coming through of where I thought I'm against the salary cap, but I am pro. Like, I don't want the Dodgers to run away with it either. Like, yes, like there has to be something, but at the same time, I'm like, last year was Dodgers Toronto. It was a hugely watched World Series. But like, how much of that is sustainable is a good point, because at some point there's going to be a breaking point.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like,
so the Dodgers have the second most World Series appearances in history, behind the Yankees. I do not want Yankees Dodgers again. Those are probably the two biggest names in baseball. Right. I would not watch a single second of that World Series because I just don't care.
Right.
I don't care about
because
either of those
I can't
teams.
hate watch one because I don't want either.
I
of
don't
them
want
to
either
win.
of them to win, which is where we were at 2 years ago when we got into this. And you made me root for the Blue Jays last year, which 10-year-old Joey would be really mad at 41-year-old.
Austin couldn't understand why I would not root for the Blue Jays. I'm like, I can't. I was like, I don't want. She's like, so you want the Dodgers to win? No,
I don't want anyone.
But like,
to win.
right?
No,
can't.
I did pull for the Blue Jays last year just because.
And that's fair. I understand it.
I'm completely anti-Dodgers. Like, I hate it, and this is coming from a Phillies fan who's what, 4th or 5th highest payroll.
Right.
But
right.
it's just the way that they're just every year we're just gonna buy. And like, this is what we hated about the Yankees in the '90s.
It is.
And now this is the Dodgers.
Right.
This is what we have landed on. And I'm not saying woe is me as a Phillies fan, because I know we're spending 4th, 5th, 6th most, whatever it is, amount of money. Our ownership is willing to spend. Thank you for that. You became relevant again because you decided to do that.
Exactly.
Getting Bryce Harper and then him pleading with you in 2022 to go out and get these guys. And guess where? You ended up in the World Series.
Right.
Now, and then you've been in the playoffs every year since. So it's not about spending the money or finding a player. It's that putting these all-star groups, these all-star teams together with exorbitant contracts where you're deferring payment. It feels like it should be against the rules.
Right. Right. And that's where I feel like a logical step is to ban the deferments. Like, because then yes, it's not a true salary cap, but you're forcing teams like the Dodgers would have to write checks for those checks that they're saying they'll write in the future.
Right.
By the way, before this ownership group bought them, there was a whole article on this, how like the Dodgers were essentially bankrupt a decade ago, or decade or so ago. They were essentially bankrupt. And then there was a divorce, and in the divorce, a guy had to sell the team, and it saved the Dodgers. And it's a wild story. But like, it's what saved the Dodgers. And then you got the Guggenheim Group went in and bought them, but yeah, it's tough because I love baseball. And even to go back to some of the points you made, even when there have been decisions I don't agree with or don't agree with initially, like I don't like the base runner starting on second base in extra innings. However, in the regular season, I feel like it's okay, and I'm willing to live with it because it goes away in the postseason.
Yeah.
Just like the shootouts in hockey.
Yep.
Right? It gives you some closure, some quicker closure, but hey, we don't need to be wasting these arms in regular season games, especially when we have 162 of them or 82 of them in hockey. Like, let's get this over with. Somebody gets a win, and like, let's move on. But when it counts the most, we're going the way we've always gone. We're going to play until somebody wins. Okay, that's worked. Pitch clock, I wish there was a way to speed it up by people just realizing, hey, we don't need all this time. There wasn't, though. The people resisted, so they put their clock in, and it has worked wonders. It has worked.
It has helped a lot.
Right.
It really has.
At the same time, I'm just like, I feel like a salary cap in the name of parity, but truly in the we want a true valuation of our team, is just disingenuous a little bit. And I'm like, I don't think that's the solution to parity, but I don't know that it isn't, right? Like, I don't know that it isn't. And so like, I don't want the Dodgers to win 10 World Series in a row, but I don't know. I feel like there's also this guarantee, like in no other thing, like does Bob Nutting get to like claim that he has the right to make hundreds of millions in profits by being the worst at what he does. Like, he's the worst at what he does.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
not as a businessman. He's obviously a very successful businessman, but like as a baseball owner, he just and I think that's part of it that just annoys me, is because like it goes back to Mark Cuban, who again, some things he says I love, some things he says I can't stand, but like this is 20 years ago,
The
he was
NFL
like
getting greedy and it's going to collapse.
Right. That would be one that was wrong.
14 years
But when
ago.
he said some owners can't stand to lose and some owners can't stand to lose money, and I'm like, that hits it on the head. Some of them will like win at all costs, and some of them want to win the money at all costs. And like, okay, like that, it's their business, but either way, no matter where you stand on this, it doesn't benefit anyone, the players or the owners, to not play baseball in 2027.
Right. Generally speaking, I am pro ownership and management. Like, I'm not anti-player. I understand you can't play the games without player, but in the long term, I understand like you're also not going to have a league if you don't have the administrative aspects and the billionaire owners. It's just not going to work. However, I'm looking at this from a standpoint, I want my owner to want to win, which we have finally gotten with the Phillies after a decade or almost a decade of not caring. There were other things going on, I understand, but he finally were like, we are going to start to win.
Right.
And if I'm an owner, I don't want anyone in the ownership club of 30 or 32 or whatever number we're at. I don't want anyone to be in there that's not in it for the betterment of baseball and to win. That's not enjoyable. I mean, maybe you could look at, well, if they don't care about winning, that's one less team I got to worry about. Maybe you look at it that way. I don't know. But look, I'm pro ownership and the league, big shield in the NFL and whatever you want to call it in MLB. Like, I am for the teams. I'm rooting for a team. I'm not rooting for the players. If you're on my team, great. I love you. And there are a few players that leave out, but it's because you were in Philadelphia for that long. That's why we latched onto you. Like, I'm sorry, the individual is not like, I'm rooting for Laundry. That is, that's an ongoing joke with some comedian somewhere, I forget. I am rooting for Laundry. I'm rooting for the team, the city, this community that we've grown up, are surrounded by. But I just, the ones that refuse to try to win are so frustrating.
Right. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I know with like friends in and around and family in and around the Pittsburgh area, like they hate it. They hate it. They love the Pirates so much. That city loves the Pirates so much. And Bob Nutting does nothing but spend, and ironically, he's spending money in terrible contracts this year to, in my mind, artificially inflate. Oh, look at what I do.
I was trying. Yeah.
Right.
So, well, we're running over. We got to get going. But basically, the whole point of this was enjoy baseball in 2026 because there's no guarantee that 2027 going to start on time and maybe won't even happen at all.
Right.
So there is a showdown on the horizon. I hope the Phillies can come out on top, but honestly, I feel like we're ready for a third straight Dodgers win. And this is the worst part with ongoing labor negotiations because the Dodgers are kind of proving the point that we need to do something.
Right.
The ownership wants to make it a salary cap thing. You can argue, we can continue to argue about whether that'll help or not, but the Dodgers becoming this juggernaut is just really bad timing.
And it'll be interesting how it plays out because I've heard some of the teams at the top of that spending aren't necessarily in favor of the salary cap, and some of the teams at the bottom are just as opposed to the salary floor. So it's going to be interesting, to see how it plays out.
The opposition to the salary floor honestly pisses me off more than the opposition to the salary cap. You
Especially
need to
when
be
there's revenue sharing.
You need to be in it to win it. Right. You're getting money from the other big time teams.
Yeah.
Pull your weight. Get your stuff together.
Yes.
It's ridiculous the way some of these teams work. All right. Well, that's it. Enjoy the World Baseball Classic. Justin and I do have a show again next week, but we are leaning towards that being the Bulldog Hour Season 12 premiere. So we'll be back on this show in 2 weeks to do our actual MLB preview where we will break down the Phillies in 2026 and probably talk about why the Dodgers are destined for the World Series once again. So that's it for us. For Justin Raffoff, I'm Joe Mays. Thanks for listening to episode 434 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. We'll see you next week on Bulldog Hour and in 2 weeks for episode 435. Good night, everyone.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.